Hey guys, in this video, we're going to be checking out the NECA Toys Rocky 40th Anniversary Series 2. This is Rocky 4's Rocky Balboa. Now, just before we have a look at Rocky Balboa and the accessories that come included with the figure, let's get some dimensions going. The height on this particular release, Rocky Balboa, stands at 7 inches tall. For his accessories, he comes included with the American flag that you can have draped over Rocky's shoulders, exactly how it actually comes out of packaging. And it's actually the same look as well that was available for the Sega Master System release of Rocky. There was also a previous release from NECA Toys. To get him into that display with the American flag, this is, by the way, a very soft plastic. Some nice detailing there on the flag with the stars and stripes. But to accommodate that look, you basically need to raise Rocky's arm up, like so, and then just kind of drape the flag over top of his shoulders, specifically though draping over top of this one arm here, and then you can just accommodate it, finishing off the look by rotating his head to the side. It's a great way to display the figure if, for example, you already have a Rocky. I like the Rocky figure so much though, I might actually even leave the flag off just because I want to have the figure maybe standing or, you know, toe to toe, you know, glove to glove with maybe like a Drago that we're going to be looking at in a future video. But I do like options like this. All the more reason if you were able to pick up 2 of these, you could display one with the flag on his shoulders and then one without. The other accessory, and not so much an accessory, but he also comes with the mid-punch drool, blood, and all that other goodness coming out of his mouth. You could for example, here's the defaulted head, and here's the just walloped on the side of his face. You can even see how basically, which is actually really neat, you can see how like the jaw has shifted itself. Basically this whole face area has moved itself to the side, and again he's exiting a series of just bloodied drool and spit coming up from his mouth as Ivan or whoever is hitting him on the side there. Really looks good. My default look, of course, would be this head here. But just to show you how that looks, we can go ahead and take the head off the ball joint, and we'll just replace it with the punched face. Now, one thing you have to be careful of, and I'm trying not to do it as I'm putting this head on, you don't want to accidentally bend this too much, because of course that's going to add some stress. You wouldn't want that to accidentally break, but you could have it so that, again, if you have an Ivan Drago, a Clubber Lang, an Apollo Creed, any one of those, could be, you know, landing that one crucial shot on Rocky, and again, the blood and saliva just blowing off, exiting out from his mouth. Looks great. Again, you got some little drops of blood down here as well, and some also on his shorts. A great look, almost again inviting itself to get a 3rd Rocky figure. My wallet will be taking quite the hit, but get a 3rd Rocky figure of the same one, display one like this, display one with the flag, and display one with then the interchangeable head. Oh, NECA, how you do it so well. So again, there's a couple of different options you can display the figure with. But let's start with the basics, or let's go right to the basics. Let's look at the figure. The figure looks great. Also great, too, that they've revisited the original Rocky figures by giving a new fresh coat of paint. Again, this figure looks super cool. And unfortunately, one of the problems with the original Rocky figures is they were around for a very short period of time. At least here in Canada, they were a short period of time. I never grabbed them when I got the chance. I think I picked up 2 of them, and then they just disappeared. Finding them now on eBay a little bit more expensive, so this is, again, very, very cool that they're re-releasing, and again, giving us some new figures on top of that. But the head sculpt, though, undeniably so can be said, does look like Sylvester Stallone. Right down to his just off-distance glare to his eyes. I love the also the texturing. And it's hard to even say not texturing, but that type of plastic that they used, which gives it a slight kind of sweaty look, which is something that they've done before. This is not new to the NECA releases, but I have to say that it looks like they've really perfected it here with the Rocky. They did it initially with like the Rambo figures and with even like the Dutch figure, but I really think Rocky here is a good example of how continued advances, like the skin tone and the type of this sheen plastic, really ends up looking quite good here on Rocky. The hair is done equally done well there as well, and some nice shading. Looks like on the lower area of his mouth. Perhaps some slight bruising from his boxing, perhaps a little bit of stubble that's growing in there as well. Either or. You could define it any which way that you want. Some nice sculpting there on the torso, the pecs and abs. And of course then you get down to the Rocky trunks. Of course originally from Apollo, but some nice looking trunks. And again his shoes, stripes there, the blue. I like the fact that the shoes aren't pristine white. Instead, they favor a little bit more of almost a lighter gray. I will say, though, that the feet look like they're a little bit too long. I don't know if it's just because they incorporate the hinge, but it does seem like the feet are excessively long, especially when you factor in that Rocky's not a very tall character anyways, that it does come across a little bit like his feet are maybe a little bit too long. That's about the only nitpick I could probably make about the figure. The boxing gloves are done nicely too, painted in very pristine white trim, I should say, for very vibrant, almost like cherry red. And they've got little details there on, it says tough wear on the actual cuff areas or the lower areas of the gloves. Little wrinkles there also in the gloves go a long way too, and you got your stitching there also. Alright, so let's have a look at his posability. His head is on a ball joint, as we've already discussed, by the way of changing out the heads. Also gives you a little bit of a hinge up and down as well. He's got the upper torso crunch, which actually ends up being a ball joint, so you can get a little bit of rotation going on there. What's neat though is you can also rotate the torso and then put the head in and then have the head slightly to an angle too, where you really convey the force of the blow hitting Rocky and kind of off-keltering him. He's got what it looks to be like universal joints in the arms. Rotation going on there. Hinge in the elbow, as well as rotation in the forearm. And you've got yourself what looks to be a ball joint attaching the gloves to the forearm area of Rocky. Down below, when it comes to his legs are a little bit more limited because of the nature of the lower torso, which relies more so on a denser, heavier plastic than more like rubber plastic. So they're a little bit more limited. But it makes up for it for the fact that at least you can bend the knees, you rotate the legs, and you can also hinge the feet with your ankle pivot there as well to boot. I kind of wish that the legs could be moved a little bit more forward than they are, because again, like if you've got Rocky, sparring next to the likes of a Drago, Clubber Lane, Apollo, the legs, having them slightly angled could certainly go a long way, but you can kind of counter that by angling the one foot back and then maybe getting the likes of a display stand where you can hold the one leg and ensure that the figure's not going to topple over. But I mean, clearly he still seems to stand pretty good, so maybe the fact that he's got the longer feet certainly does help a little bit for that as well. Today we were looking at the fairly new NECA Toys Rocky 40th Anniversary line of figures. This particular one was Rocky from Rocky 4, which actually so happens to be my favorite Rocky. And I think generally, consensus-wise, most people really do like Rocky 4 the most because it's, of course, the big bout between him and Ivan Drago. If you guys like this video, certainly hit it with a like down below. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe to this channel, what are you waiting for? Hit that little subscribe button down below. You won't miss future videos coming onto this channel. And actually, speaking of future videos, make sure you also hit that little notification bell down below, right below this video. Turn that on, And then that way you'll always know when new videos are coming up onto this channel. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.